Hey, welcome to another episode of Camping Camera. Today we're going to build some toys. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. If this is your first time here, I hope you like what you see, and if you're a repeat watcher, welcome back. Today is a dirty shirt day. It's a Saturday. We're in the workshop. We have some really strong thunderstorms forecast to roll through the area here in a little while. So we're just going to close ourselves up in the shop and launch into a project. Normally we're doing something specifically related to camping. Today it's going to indirectly be related to camping. I've noticed that there are several campgrounds around Tennessee, well, all over the nation actually, that have disc golf courses in the campground. And that looks like something that would be super cool to try. I've never tried it, but I've been watching it on YouTube. And I'm really intrigued by it. So much so that I actually got on eBay and I picked up a set of discs. These things are really cheap. This evidently, they call it a driver, so it'll go a long way. This is like a mid-range and this is a putter, so it's, I don't know, similar to golf as far as terminology. But I thought I'd give it a try. And I was thinking, you know, I hate to just roll into the campground and start throwing these things and completely suck. So I'd like to be able to practice a little bit. And I thought, well, hey, how about I just build my own disc golf basket and put it out back of the house and use it to pitch in, you know, off and on to practice a little bit. Hey, we're handy. We like to build stuff. We've got a workshop. Let's just build our own. So that's what we're going to do today. So this is also going to be a little bit of a recycling project. I was able to lay hands on this old bicycle rim. It has a rotted tire on it, but the inside of the rim is almost the exact dimension of a regulation disc golf basket. So I think if I hang the chains from the spokes all the way around, from tip to tip, it's going to be just right. I found a variety of old chains. I'm not sure if I'll be able to use all those. And quite frankly, I probably will have to go to the hardware store and buy some more chains. That'll be the one cost I'll have. I'm going to use, for the basket, this old fire pit lid. I'll just turn it upside down. I'll probably take some scrap metal from a teardrop, left over from a teardrop build, and put that around the sides just to help make a basket. I found a metal pole, so that's going to be the basic components. So let's see if we can get this thing thrown together. So I don't need the tire. That's not going to serve any purpose. It's an old rotted tire. I'm just going to start by trying to pull that off. Just take a couple screwdrivers, start working my way around. Boy, I remember having to do this a lot when I was a kid. Like I was always patching a bicycle tire. All right. If the disc golf basket doesn't work out, maybe I could build a big top out of this thing. So we just took the axle and the hardware off the wheel. Now, if you remember many episodes ago when we were building the Teardrop, I used some super long carriage bolts to put the water tank under the floor. And I had a couple of those left. So my plan is to take one of these carriage bolts and to run it down through and to find a way to fasten this carriage bolt into the top of the post. I'm not exactly sure I'm going to do that, but that's the plan. So I ended up cutting a couple spacers, different lengths, out of a piece of PVC pipe. And I slid those over the carriage bolt, and I put a couple washers on there that were just a little bit bigger than the PVC pipe, but a little bit smaller than the post that's in the ground the whole basket will be setting on. And my goal is just to be able to set the basket down into the post. So according to the internet, the top of the basket needs to be 20 inches from the top of the chains, or that's the way I read it anyway. So I'm just going to put a green band around this as a marker, and I'll put the top of the basket right here. So probably the most difficult part for me for this project will be how to mount the basket or this fire pit lid to the middle of the post. My goal right now is just to take the hardware out of the middle, cut a hole in here, and I don't know, maybe make some kind of L brackets. There's 4 bands on this that go to the outer ring. Maybe I could just make 4 L brackets that will mount to these bands and then to the post. Let's try that. Okay, so I said there's some strong thunderstorms forecast to roll in here pretty shortly. Let's go take a run over the hill real quick. I want to show you something. So we've got some 40-mile-an-hour winds and possible tornadoes forecasted for later today. And there's this old tree, this old dead tree at the bottom of the property that we've been watching for like 3 years. Every time we come down here, we think it's going to, be on the ground. This thing is leaning over like the Tower of Pisa, and it just keeps standing. Let's go see if this thing is still up, and then we'll come back after the storm, see if it finally fell down. Gee whiz, it's leaning. And, it's like, I don't know, probably it's probably 24 inches in diameter, but look at the bottom of it. There's hardly anything holding it up. Just 2 little stems, and they're both dead. That is crazy. Who'd want to pitch a tent and camp under that tonight? All right, enough playing out in the bad weather. Let's get back into the project. Looks like the bad weather's finally here. I just ran from the shop to the house like maybe 30 feet and my hat got soaked. I took it off already. Look at my shirt. The trees were like laying over for just a moment. So yeah, it looks like it's here. All right, let's get back inside, ride this one out. So now we're going to start cutting chains to hang from the top ring, and I had some 1/4 inch round bar aluminum. I just bent it by hand into a circle. It's not joined, you can open it up, but I'm just going to slide it down over the post, and as I understand, the chains will come down and they'll go on this ring, or they are on mine anyway. Now I'm just putting a zip tie around each chain and around the rim, just to keep the chain from sliding up the spokes whenever the disc hits them, assuming I can actually hit one. Now, from what I've read on the internet, I think the minimum number of chains you're supposed to have on the outer ring is 12 and the inner ring is 6. I just used what chains I had available. I ended up putting 9 on the outside, 9 on the inside. That's good enough for me. I'm not going to be a professional disc golf player anyway. The last thing that I really need to do is put some kind of band around this so that the basket has sides on it, and that's all I really have to do. Now, some disc golf baskets, they have a little band around the top that's decorative. I don't know if we'll do that or not, but hey, this is the moment of truth. This is the first point where it's actually a playable basket. Let's pitch a disc in there and see what happens. For those of you that watch my Teardrop build series, you'll know that I clad the outside of my Camp Easy Teardrop in aluminum, and I still have some of that scrap left. I'm going to cut a ring out of this to put around the bottom of the basket, or the top of the basket, and that'll act for like some sideboards to help catch the disc. So technically I could just leave the whole disc golf basket like it is, but I think this would make it look nice, and I've already got the aluminum laying around from the Teardrop build, so why not go ahead and just make it a little bit nicer looking. Alright y'all, I think it's done. I was going to put a piece of aluminum like this up here on the bicycle rim, but really and truly I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it turned out great. The last thing to do is just take it out and try it. Well, I say that. There is one more thing we need to do. One really important thing. Alright, so with the addition of that decal, it went from being like a mediocre or fair disc golf basket to being like a world-class disc golf basket. Everybody's going to want this thing now. So it's the next day. The skies are blue, the air's cooler. It's a whole different scene out here. So let's go down and see if the big old tree fell in the high winds last night. We were reading on Facebook this morning that there's trees down all over the area, so we'll see what happened here. How on earth is this thing still standing? After a couple 3 years of leaning over like that and the base continuously deteriorating, the winds we had last night, how on earth is that possible? I guess we're either going to have to start taking bets on when it's actually going to fall, or maybe we'll have to put a segment on the episode, did the tree fall today? Let's see if there's any give to it. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, it moved a lot more than I expected. Wow, watch this. I'm gonna push on it and watch how much it rocks. You see that? That's me pushing on it by hand. How did the wind not take that down last night? So let's get back to the disc golf basket. I just came out in the field, I drove a stake in the ground, and I slid the post over it, and here's what it looks like. I'll have to say, it looks pretty legit. Now if you get up real close, yeah, you can see that I built it out of scrap, but I think it looks pretty good. So let's give it a try out here and see how it does. Yeah, I really stink. I I've watched enough disc golf on YouTube to know that this was probably, I don't know, like a par 2, par 3 hole at best. And it took me 4 shots to get it, but that's the first time I've ever thrown at a basket outdoor, so cut me some slack. This was a lot of fun though. So is that not a cool project or what? We've got our very own disc golf basket, so we can practice before we go camping at a campground that's got its own course. Before we get out of here, a couple things I want to mention. The first is a viewer spotlight. Haven't done one in a little bit. Today's viewer spotlight comes from a guy that I'll call Backroad. He's got a really long name, I can't pronounce it, but I'm just going to call him Backroad. It's kind of abbreviated like that. But he has built a teardrop that's a really nice, clean, simple teardrop that he calls the Bedrock Trailer. And you can go to Instagram and look up Bedrock Trailer and find his page. But his camper is a 5x8 camper. It's 4 foot tall and weighs 1,400 pounds. It took him about 7.5 months to build the camper after work and on the weekends, which is pretty similar to my Camp Easy, and actually a very similar weight to the Camp Easy. But it features a galley that has a hatch from the cargo door of a bus. I thought that was a pretty cool repurpose. It has some really large tires on it. It has 31-inch off-road tires sitting on a 3,500 pound axle. It's got a swing out propane grill on the back of the galley. And it's still a work in progress. He sent me a list of things that he still wants to do to it. I think he's wanting to hook up some solar, maybe change some things on the lights. But it's a really neat project. He's done just a super good job on this thing. And I just like the nice clean design. The interior cabinetry, really clean looking. That was actually cut on a CNC router. So it's a well thought out camper. I think he did a real nice job on it. So Backroad, thanks for sending that in. And before we get out of here, the last thing, there's going to be a teardrop gathering or a teardrop rally, if you will, in Crossville, Tennessee at the Cumberland Mountain State Park Campground. It's going to be in June. I'm not going to tell you the exact date. If you want to get the information, go on Facebook to the DIY Teardrop Campers community and request to join the group. Now again, this is for teardrops. It's more geared towards DIY teardrop builders, but as I understand, all teardrops are welcome. But go on there, join the group, find the events page, and you can get the information if you want to go. We've already got several teardrops scheduled to be there. I think there's already 30 or more. So it's going to be a pretty good meetup. Look forward to meeting those that have signed up and those that are going to sign up. So, hey, that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, take care. We'll see you on the road.